Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strawn along with Farrell Goff. It is 80s week here on Morning Blend. We're playing 80s music all week long. Like that one.
Feel good 80s.
That's right.
Sweet music, man.
And that song was by Heart. Speaking of Heart, Tirade of the Heart is the new book by Beaumont Todd. Beaumont Todd is joining us in studio this morning. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Thanks, Dwight. And Farrell for having me this morning. And good morning to your audience and listening audience in the Bahamas.
Now, Beaumont, you are a jack of all trades, it seems. If anyone went to Shakespeare in Love, they would have seen you on the stage there. Shakespeare in Paradise. Shakespeare in Paradise. They would have seen you on the stage there, acting. And now you have the book. You are doing a lot of different things out there. But how did this come about? How did this book come about? Tell us the story behind it.
Well, actually, it's been a compilation of poems I've written for the last 18 years, starting actually from when I was actually inside high school. I used to rap when we were in high school, but I never actually sat down to write any of them. And one day I just decided, let me just sit down and write out some of the lyrics.
Hip-hop?
Hip-hop rap, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I sat down and I started writing out the lyrics, and then I said, you know what, let me try to write a poem. I never did it before, and it just flowed. It was like air. It just flowed. And from then I've been writing up until now. And
rapping is indeed a form of poetry. I mean, it's just presented a bit different from the conventional sense of poetry that we think in our minds. But you were very much on the road a long time ago with writing the rap lyrics.
And the funniest thing about it was I never knew I could have done it. We were just fooling around in class one day when we were inside grade 9, and all of us was just beating on the tables and just singing. And from that, I love to write, and so it came from the poetry straight into the writing.
So let's talk about it. You said it's poetry. What are the poems about? Tell us about what's inspired them.
Well, it's a variety of poems. And for me, basically, it's everything in my life. From my sadness to my joys, my triumphs, my family, my friends, the things I see in my society. One thing I feel as a writer, though, we have, a responsibility also to add to our culture and our society, but we also have a responsibility to present and report on the issues that are happening in our society, and we put it in a written form. Because a lot of times you see things happening and persons that may not even be aware of it. I might write a poem on sadness and about somebody begging on the street or something, and until someone actually reads that, then they connect into what's actually going on about them in their own culture, if though they're not aware of it.
In many cultures, the arts really reflect what's going on in that particular country at that time. They pay. It's a very powerful medium that's used around the world, but I think here we underestimate the power of it, especially in poetry and putting pen to paper for such issues.
Yeah. And your previous guests that were on a few minutes ago, they were speaking about the poor and the issues. And my very last poem, which is called Fallen, it's actually about some experiences I've had in my life when I was really at a very dark place. I was at the point where I was actually selling phone cards and stuff just to make ends meet. And things
keep in mind that's been a very lucrative industry for some.
Get it wrong, it is.
But I understand.
But at that point in time, it was just trying to make ends meet and get things going. And it speaks about being in that place where you just feel alone, as if no one else understands what you're going through at your lowest point, until you realize bit by bit there are other people going through the same thing. And it's that unity of strength, not as a single individual, but like they say, no man is an island.
Right.
So it's that unity of strength that helps you to rebuild up yourself and your character. And I made a lot of good friends when I was out selling cards and stuff that people would usually look past, but it was them that actually gave me the strength to pick myself up and start back over.
So it sounds like writing for you was therapeutic in some way.
It is. It is. And a lot of times, I wrote poems when I was distressed and angry. And the dedication of my book is actually to my grandfather and my uncle, because both of them passed in the years 97 and 98 within 6 months of each other. So that was a really traumatic time for me and my family. And out of that pain, I have a couple poems that I wrote, but it was this writing that actually helped me to find that balance again, to be able to get through that painful time.
What was the process like compiling this, putting them all together and deciding what would go in and getting it published?
One word: frustrating.
Oh my. Tell us about it. Why was it so?
Well, first of all, deciding exactly what poems would be able to reach out to persons. That was one thing. Then there was the matter of getting the editing right. Then there's a matter of choosing the right pictures to depict each category for each poem. And then there's the process of actually getting it printed.
And boy, I can imagine that being
And-
the most frustrating
And all of that
part
is,
of it.
you know, completely apart from the actual written aspect of it, where you actually have to have your creative aspect as well as making sure you still stick to having a good format so that readers can enjoy it, although you're being creative at the same time.
Then you got to make sure people read it after it gets published.
And then the work begins, getting it out.
Right. Wow. So how long has it been out now? How long has it been on the market and available for purchase?
It's actually been out now probably only about 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Books are available in Logos Bookstore at the moment, but books will also be available hopefully by the end of the week once I can get the other prints in, inside Hallmark in the Mall of Marathon, Nassau Stationers of Madeira Rosetta Street, right here at Chapter 1 Bookstore, and I'm hoping hopefully also to get some books inside BFM.
How's it been received so far?
For the persons that have
I know you're
seen it-
your harshest critic, but you know.
No, man, that's fine. That's fine. Criticism helps you to grow because you may help me to cut off some edges that I may not see myself. But for the persons that have read it, they've enjoyed it. It's like from the first poem they saw, they connected with the book and they enjoyed it.
Now I want to hear them. I know I've put you on notice. I wanted you to read a couple of them for us. Let's have one of them. Now I know you said you had these dedicated to some special people in your life.
Well,
Let's
my
have your first
three favorite poems are the one I wrote for my wife, my son, and my daughter. But the first one I read for you is my son, who was actually just born about 6 weeks ago.
Wow!
And he
Congratulations.
came- thank you.
And he already has a poem? Boy, he's a go-getter.
He came early, and the story behind him was we were practicing for Shakespeare in Paradise at the time. And let me send my shout-outs to my Shakespeare in Paradise crew.